I want to start October 20th's transmission with a validation update from the September 13th transmission. During that transmission, I see a lot of water, and it's possible that I'm on an island and certainly on the ocean's edge. I'm feeling kind of islandy. A lot of rattling and a lot of shaking going on. A lot of rattling and a lot of shaking. I can see everything shaking. Again, I can't be specific if this is an island or not, but I am on the water's edge, and it feels like big water. It feels like ocean, and I'm not in Chicago anymore. I'm someplace else entirely. Today came the validation of that transmission on Sunday, October 23rd. Istanbul, Turkey, and this is something that CNN has on the internet. As night fell over eastern Turkey on Sunday, following the most powerful earthquake in at least a decade, citizens were using flashlights and shovels as they clambered over the rubble of collapsed buildings looking for survivors. At least 7 aftershakes rattled the region, one of the nation's poorest. The extent of the casualties was not immediately known. Some 25 apartment buildings and student dormitory collapsed in the town of Erasis on the north shore of Lake Van. Wikipedia goes on to say Lake Van is the largest lake in Turkey, located on the east of the country in the Van district, and it is saline, as in like the ocean. Okay, now moving on to the transmission from October 20th, and we have yet another update actually, and this one came in from message 24, which was actually September 13th transmission. And that message, it read windstorm. I guess I'm looking at a windstorm. I don't think the windstorm is a hurricane. I truly do not. But it's a windstorm, and it does look like it's knocking down a lot of fronds and these leaves off trees someplace here in Florida. Quite the windstorm. I do think it's south of Palm Coast, Florida. And then on October 18th, just about 1 month later, the news broadcasters spent the day showing maps and possible rain labels through the day. All of Florida was in the path of this storm. It was supposed to be reported to bring a great deal of wind, rain, and high levels of water. Palm Coast, however, had high and dry, sunshiny day with only some sprinkles from time to time, while the area south of us, as they said, had to deal with much higher water and wind levels. Okay, now we'll start with the transcript from Thursday, October 20th. During meditation today, as usual, I asked they what they wanted me to see and what they wanted me to know. It started with an Egyptian statue, a huge statue. And I don't know who this man is, but it's of a man sitting in a chair. It's a huge stone statue. We stayed on that statue for quite a while, and I was more or less saying, I don't know who this is, other than some Egyptian guy sitting in a chair. And we moved from that to Washington, and another statue, a famous statue of Abraham Lincoln, also sitting in a chair. Also a huge stone statue. We stayed on that for a while, and then we did this digression thing of men sitting in chairs to President Jack Kennedy, and showing me scenes of when little John was a baby and would play underneath his feet at the desk. Then they showed, if there isn't already, a statue of John Kennedy, but he's not sitting, he is standing. And it showed what is probably little John, his hand on little John's shoulder. Then it jumped, and they said, this is the future, to another statue that will be created in the future. And that will be of President Obama, also sitting in a great big chair and a great big stone statue. But that is sometime in the future, and I don't know how far distant that is. Once again, they showed me the stairs, talking about the steps that we are now taking, little baby steps at a time to get the YouTube set up. And I know that there's a lot more to come, but we're at the very, very beginning of it. Now this looks like an angry sky. It's coming in from the east, so it's coming in over the ocean. It's coming in from the east, a dark, angry sky, emphasizing that this issue is coming from the east. So I'm not sure if this is literally a sky or if this is one of those symbols that they are giving me. Dark clouds are coming in from the east. I tend to think it's more of a symbol that they are talking about, that they're showing me. They were here earlier, and for people who don't know or understand they have a tremendous sense of humor. They were here during meditation, and they showed themselves all crowding into this room. It reminded me of a bunch of teenagers coming into a room as they were jostling and joking with each other. But this is the way they are. They're very, very light, and they have a wonderful sense of humor. There is a light, and I'm seeing this beautiful light in the sky overhead. And once again, I feel like this is a symbol of something that is to come. And it does feel that it's uplifting, and it's more of a joyous nature. And since it's in the sky, it covers such a land mass. And this will be for a great many people. They're showing me once again that light in the sky, which I perceive as being quite happy and joyous. And now there's an arrow pointing down to Washington, D.C. But again, a large number of people are affected. Large number of people. And I'm thanking them for that, because we sure could use some good news. Okay, now they are showing me a mountain path. And it looks difficult to walk and full of obstacles and all kinds of things. The person I am looking at is tired and feels like he's struggling, and almost like he just wants to give up. Just wants to give up. That person is struggling isn't just a person. Again, it's a symbol of a great many people who are apparently just struggling on their path. And just about at that point of exhaustion, just about at that point of saying, I can't do this anymore. And what they are saying to you is, keep on, keeping on. Keep on, keeping on. It looks like they are finding little ways. Again, this is the angel of every person that's involved on this tough path right now. And they are finding little ways to make things easier and better and not so dark. So it's always a good thing to ask not only your guardian angels for assistance, especially when you're struggling, but as there are so many unemployed angels, because what they're showing me, literally angels grabbing under each arm and just helping to keep you on your feet and helping to keep you going. And again, they're giving me some humor here and maybe some little sympathy too, because they are showing a particular angel sitting on a rock, a great big rock, and he's watching this struggling individual. And they are giving assistance to him. And they are nodding and saying, this is really a bummer, but we are here to help. We live to serve. I see one of the things dangling over my head again. And I later clarified this by saying the thing over my head was something I've seen before since we started doing these sessions. And although it's been a while since I've seen it, it looked like a vortex of light being downloaded into the top of my head. With every transmission, we generally do have updates and validations from a prior transmissions. Quite often what they predict are going to be coming about usually happens sometimes within hours, and quite often within a few months. There generally isn't a long time gap between the time that they give me the message and the time it actually transpires on this plane of reality. Thank you for joining me.